I am Anthony Michael Russo, and this is a Double Down speaking event from the darkness to the light, which is ironic because I've got very, we'll call it mood lighting in this room. I'm on location. I have a special event at the end of every single one of our classes, and this is edition number 5. It's going to be a really fun group, an interesting group. We'll talk a little bit about what Double Down Speaking is. Before we get started, I will bring up Henry, my partner in crime that helps with each of the classes. And then we will get into 4 people. 4 people this evening will be speaking and sharing their story in a way that is very unique to them. And it shows the process that we do with Double Down Speaking. So if you may, if you will, please do me a huge favor. Share this. Like this video, share this video, and as I like to say, do all the things with this video. I'm very excited for this group. Our keynote speaker this evening is a gentleman by the name of Dr. Toby Potter. He is a phenomenal speaker. He's going to be bringing it to the house. He's got the longest set. He won in our group, and that is why he gets the full keynote. And then everybody else also did a fantastic job. This was, I believe, the closest group we have ever had. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring up Mr. Henry Garcia, who looks like he's got a piano behind him. There you go. Yeah. You go. Henry, go ahead and introduce yourself. Oh no, that's the living room without the piano. That's my bad.
Hey, what's going on, Anthony? What's up, audience? My name is Henry Garcia. I am a Double Down coach, and it appears I got a little mood lighting going on too. You notice the lighting's a little darker on my end. But yeah, I'm a Double Down coach, and I'm a trained linguist, and I really help the speakers out here that came today with the speeches they give to all you guys and everything like that. So I'm just excited to talk about this darkness to light subject, because we're talking about death tonight and how people went through, transformational events. Like, this crowd didn't hold anything back. So I'm excited for that, and it was a privilege getting to coach them.
Yeah, it's funny. Each group has its own thing, and each time there's different themes. In the first 4, it was odd. They all fell into this kind of similar basket where we could name each one. This one ended up having what did Shannon? What did say that again? Let's see what you had in the background. Let's see. Shannon still can't hear me. That's weird. You can hear me though, Henry, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. Shannon, sometimes that happens. Go ahead, and since these are our speakers are in the back room, we're using StreamYard. Shannon, leave and come back. Sometimes it's just an odd glitch. It's no big deal. It's happened. It has happened before. So leave. Come. Oh, actually, Henry, can you tell her that, because she can't hear me?
Hey, Shannon, can you just exit out and come back in? Usually that's what it takes to reset everything, and you should be good.
Yeah. I realize I'm giving instruction to the person that can't hear me.
Can't hear you.
So the power of these classes is each one has its own niche, is what I was saying. And this group, it was interesting as we were hearing them speak on their final event, their closed event, which is week number 8. They all had these stories that had a lot of darkness, a lot of death, and then it all was about overcoming and how it's affected their life. So that was a through line in this group that was really, really interesting, that I really, really enjoyed. You've been through the process, Henry. Go ahead and tell everybody how you and I met, and then how you actually decided to go through your part of class number 1.
Right on. Well, Anthony and I met back it was like a little bit over 2 years ago. We met as we were both contestants in the 10X Stages Great American Speak Off. And we had both made it to the semifinals at about 5,000. We were down to the last 120 or something like that. And, we were there for an event, and we were all aiming to get in the top 10. And I remember I just saw Anthony one time and came across, and we're networking, and I just shook hands with him and said, "Hey man, nice to meet you," got his number. And that was that. It was basically at the end of the event. Well, he coordinated something, this speaker mastermind, and he invited a few of us, semifinalists out there that didn't make it to the top 10 to join him. And lo and behold, he started that class, and he saw that he had a real knack for helping us other speakers out there being able to get our messages across, and not just our messages in a way that it lands to make us some money, but the transformational part that we go through. He always had a way of identifying our scorch marks. So like that really worked for him. So I was in there while we were building the speaker mastermind, and then I ended up joining the first class and being one of his class number 1. And it was a great experience. And then after that, I saw the impact that he was making, and I saw the impact he was making with me, with his mentoring. And I just got along for the ride, went along the Double Down team venture. And now we're on class number 5 here, but we're already on class number 6. and the transformations that have just came through here in this class, you know, from day one. Like if you guys would have seen me before I came through all this stuff, I'd be real squirrely. It was very tough to be able to handle, you know, being in front of the camera and standing in my own power, you know, realizing that my voice is my superpower. That's something Anthony is very great at. He's able to get the best parts of us and really highlight us, even though we're going through the darkness. Because we just had a class that just had a whole lot of darkness they were talking to. And Anthony's humor and sense of humor and way to look at things in perspective really was able to help these speakers and bring it to the light. And that's something he does for all of us, something he did for me, something he continues to do for me. And I just love what we're able to do here and share this, you know, and share the transformation with others and right here and right now.
I love it. And yeah, you and I, so actually what's funny, that mastermind was actually Andrew Angus.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll put it together. And then next thing I know, him and I were definitely co-hosting it. And Andrew's actually been through the course as well. He's also a phenomenal speaker. All of us were at that group, and it was just a really great thing that we've been able to put together. I decided to turn the light off. I thought it was weird. So typically, as anybody that sees me, I'm always in a studio, and this is unique. But at least, hey, as long as we got fast internet, we are good to go. Shannon, I'm looking at you. Can you hear me? Good. Okay, she can hear me. All right. So for everybody else in the chat, please feel free when we get going, make some comments. Say some ways that these things impact you. I also want to give a shout out to Brenda. Brenda's in the audience right now. My very first time teaching a speaking class actually goes back about 5 years, and it's a very similar formula to what the Double Down speaking class is. And Brenda and I taught it together with Terrence Leffridge, and it's a formula that just works. It gets people to learn that their story, and this is now the way that I've definitely coined this group, your story is your superpower and your voice is your secret weapon. When you can properly learn to own your story and then use your voice to tell that story, it's a complete game changer. And it's not just, and you mentioned something very, very important. You said, I'm not about like teaching people how to make money and do that stuff on stage, because in all reality, that is a very difficult task. And there's very good teachers and trainers that do that, but a lot of people on the internet lie about their abilities. It's hard to get paid to speak. So you have to find a way to parlay your speaking into other business. And ultimately what we do in this class is not just speaking education. It is transformational speaking to the point where you know that when you can properly own your story, you can then better own your life. Would you agree, Henry?
Yeah, I'd say the same thing, you know, and it's like the whole, you know, helping people coach and speak on stage to be able to generate cash, you know, that's really a byproduct of how you show up on stage and that transformation that you go through when you know in your identity, you know exactly who you are when you're stepping on that stage, you know exactly what you've been through to get on that stage. And that money that you generate and people ask for you to share your message is by going through the darkest parts and bringing it to light and having that transformational experience and knowing what you're made of and being able to share your value in those darkest moments and scorch marks. That's where the money's generated. Everybody thinks it's generated in the marketing and the advertising. You'll get some people, but you won't maintain a business. Your voice is your superpower. And if you don't have that superpower, it's going to be very tough to market to a crowd when you can't handle any kind of pressure moment, when you don't know who you are and what you've been through. It's very tough to land the message with the crowd.
Absolutely. All right. Without much further ado, we're going to have Dr. Toby Potter coming up shortly within the next minute. Just as a heads up, what this is out of is an 8-week program. These students have been through 8 long, arduous weeks where we go through some emotional work. We go through finding out how to introduce themselves, and we put together this 5-minute signature talk, which is what you're about to see. There is something that I've been working on for a while. If obviously it's not a cheap class, it's not inexpensive, but I do have a way to do it if you want to do it self-guided on my speaking boot camp. It's the exact same thing, just without the group help, and it's totally on your own time, and it's only $47 right now. So if you want to go to speakingbootcamp.com to just learn more about it, that is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Henry, is it okay if I pull you off and introduce the one-armed warrior?
Yes, sir. Bring him on up, the unshakable investor. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, our first speaker of the evening and the keynote for this 5th edition of the event, a gentleman that I'm very pleased to know that I'm working with. I'm honored to be in his presence. He is, if you think I have a lot of energy, he takes me to the next level. He is he's just, his whole brand is built about being unshakable, and he's been through it. And I am going to encourage you to listen, take notes if you are a note taker, to some of the things he's going to say and the story that he is going to share with you. This isn't always about the how many takeaways we can get. This is about connection. That is what we teach. Connection via communication. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Toby Potter.
Hey, how are you, buddy?
How are you doing, Toby?
I'm good. The drugs are kicking in. I'm feeling it. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Well, Toby, I'm going to if people can only see your bat arm right now. So before we get started, real quick, so everybody knows what happened, just real quick, say what happened to your arm, and then we will get the party started.
Yeah, so a week ago, was in the gym working out, tore my rotator cuff, pulled the tendon, my bicep tendon off the shoulder, had to have it all restitched, sewn up. And now I have a bionic arm. We just have to let it heal, and we'll be back in business. But that happened. I had surgery on Tuesday. But just like everything in life, the show must go on. We're here tonight to share, to show, and to inspire.
I love it. Well, Toby, the floor is yours.
Hey, everybody. Toby Potter here, the unshakable investor. I want to ask you a question. I want to make a statement. The most dangerous words you can ever speak are the words that you speak or intend to speak at a later date. It was May 14th, 1991. I was a junior in college. I had just received my letter from the United States Marine Corps that I was accepted into the Officer Candidate Training School. I had my whole career future lined out. I was going to go to boot camp in San Diego that summer. I was going to come back, finish my college, and then off to the military as an officer in the Marine Corps and go into what I had hoped would be Secret Service or something along those lines. See, I was the seventh of 8 children on a farm, and I really didn't have a lot of goals in life until I had gotten out of there. I had a terrible relationship with my father, and I wanted to prove to him how amazing I was. And so I had done all this on my own, and I had mapped all this out. And on May 14th, 1991, I got a phone call. And that phone call was one of my brothers letting me know that my father had been diagnosed with cancer. And I had to make a decision right then and there. Do I continue my own selfish personal life, or do I set that aside and go home and take care of the farm while my dad went through treatment? All my other brothers and sisters had moved off, gotten married, and I was really the only one eligible to do this. And because my relationship with my father was so estranged, I felt this might be a God-sent opportunity to come home, show him that I am the man that he always thought I should be, but never measured up to be. And so I did. I resigned from the Marine Corps. I left college. I went home and I took off. And I get there, and the first thing he says was, I can't pay you. You'll have to get a job, but you still need to help take care of the animals. So I did. I got a job. And my father began treatment. And my day started at 4 a.m, taking care of the cattle, the rabbits, and everything else. And then I went off to the factory and worked. And then I came home and took it again. And every day, instead of building a relationship with my father, creating and establishing that father-son bond that I had longed for 19 years, nothing changed. I was still never good enough. The chores weren't done right. And his treatments and medication wasn't helping. And we fought day in and day out. Nothing was good enough. And I became hardened because I had given up my dreams, my future for him. Something he had never really ever done for me. As time went on, months later, his illness got worse. And there came a time to where he was now in the hospital more than he was home. And the hospital was an hour away. And so I had that same routine. Get up, take care of the ranch, go to work, come home, take care of the ranch, and then I would drive an hour to the hospital and I would report of what had been done, what hadn't been done, and get more marching orders. And it was the same thing. Argument, fight, yelling, screaming. Finally, at one point in time, I said, I'm done. I'm absolutely done. I am not coming back to this hospital just to hear you tell me how pathetic I am. I'm not coming back here to fight with you anymore. So here's the deal, Dad. And I looked and I said, here's the deal. When you get better and when you get well and you come home, we'll discuss this. Because I'm tired of sacrificing for you and you not appreciating it. And I left. I stormed out of there. Hot-headed and mad. It was a few days later, I got another call from the hospital saying that my dad's symptoms had gotten worse, that his organs were shutting down, and that he had slipped off into a coma. And I pondered about the last words that were said between us, the fighting, the anger, the hatred. And I said, I can't end it this way. So I called my supervisor and said, hey, things have gotten worse with my dad. I've got to go back and I've got to spend time with him. I might have to take time off. And they said, that's fine. And so I drove back to the hospital. And my dad was laying there in a coma. And I prayed and I said, Lord, give me just 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes for him to wake up, to look at me in the eyes, for him to look at me and for me to say, I'm sorry. For me to look down and say, Dad, I'm sorry. I love you. Regardless of all the past, regardless of all the fights, you are my father and I love you. It's all I want, Lord. Just 5 minutes. I need him to hear it. I need it for my own soul, and I need to know that he understands. And every day was the same thing. I would leave the hospital. I would go home, would take care of the cattle, take care of the animals, and then I would drive back. And I'd sit by his bed, and I would be there. Dad, just wake up, please. Just give me 5 minutes. Just squeeze my hand. Just move a foot. I don't care. If you can hear me, let me know you can hear me. And for 8 days, it was the same routine. And on August 14th, 1991, my father passed away. I never got the chance to say that I was sorry. I never got the chance to say that I love you because I always thought there'd be tomorrow. I always knew there'd be another day. I always believed time would not run out. See, the most dangerous words could ever be said are the ones that you intend to say at a later date. Don't go through life with unfinished business. Don't go through life thinking there's tomorrow. Understand, today is the absolute best day of the rest of your life. Today is the absolute best day to build, nourish, cultivate relationships. I just wanted 5 minutes just so that I could tell my father everything that I wanted to say for 19 years. It never got said. And that's on me. don't make that same mistake. Understand how important time is, how important our relationships are, how important you are to those around you, regardless of the animosity, regardless of the hurt, regardless of any discord. Fully understand it's your duty and your responsibility to always speak the unspoken for your own soul and for your own purpose. The most dangerous words to ever be said are those that you intend on saying at a later date. I found out the hard way. That pain stayed with me for decades. And I had to come to terms that I could never undo that. But I made a promise to myself that I would always let my family know how much I meant to them. I would always speak what's on my heart, and I would never let it go unsaid, because I don't know what tomorrow brings. You don't know what tomorrow brings. Don't go to bed with unanswered, unspoken words. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Toby Potter, and I am the Unshakable Investor. And I thank you so much for your time and for your attention.
Well done. Oh, wait, I forgot I have something. I have something to add now that I didn't know that I... Well, that was short. That was short. Great job, Toby. Before I bring Henry back up, I mean, you and I spoke a long time ago, right when we met, several months ago. I won't say a long time ago. And I just see just an enormous amount of natural ability to motivate people from the stage, from your voice, and to utilize that. And I just want to commend you for the ability to what I've seen you grow, because you've worked with some of the best. You've had Brenda put you through the ringer with Dr. Ruben West, and you keep getting, you're already one of those people. It's like, Toby can speak, Toby can share a story, Toby can move an audience. And then now you're Toby that can also, you're multidimensional in terms of the ability for pacing, speed, up and down, and then to share something that I've never heard that story until our final. And you had a whole plan and you threw it out the window and you shared something on your heart. And I just think it's a phenomenal story. And to end, what I'm going to say about it is it's interesting. We were just having a conversation on my drive to where I'm at today about how somebody that they knew was, just completely fine, went to the doctor, did his yearly physical, and died 3 days later. And the family was like, hey, Bill's dead. And it's like, you just don't know. And you look at life in a different way. And I believe as though Brenda had a comment like this, you make me value things differently every time I hear this in a good way. So Great job. I'm going to bring Henry up. And while I bring him up, I'm going to give you the stage one more time. You've got a big event. We have a big event, but it's your event in Allen, Texas. If you want to talk about it real quick, please do. Go ahead.
You bet. So everybody, as we continue taking on these roles, these responsibilities as a coach, as a mentor, we are going around the world and we're sharing these powerful messages, inspiring and leading and really igniting people to become their absolute best. Whether it's the BTBY, Become the Better You platform, whether it's the Unshakable Self, my platform, it's all about helping people become better, business, personal, all that. So we are starting this tour. February 12th in Allen, Texas, in my hometown, starts the tour. And then I think we have 14 stops nationwide. But I would love for anybody that's in the area, if you were on this webinar right here tonight, go to the unshakableinvestor.com. There's a link there. Click it and put in there. I'm going to put a promo code, put in there Anthony. I'm going to use Anthony as the tool. Put in there Anthony, and we will gift you free tickets. Because if you're part of this foundation, you're part of these people, then I want to know you. I want to meet you. This is going to be an epic tour. I mean, the Eagles had a pretty good tour. AC/DC had a really good tour. Queen had a pretty good tour. This is going to blow that away. So if you're not part of that, you're going to miss the tour of the century.
I spelled that right. The unshakableinvestor.com. It's in the bottom. Anthony is the promo code. It's not Anthony promo code. It's Anthony is the promo code.
Take out the E. So it's unshakable without an E.
Son of a bee sting. Okay.
That's all right. Everybody does it.
Yeah. Happens to the best of us. Henry. Yeah. Go ahead, Toby.
Yeah. So in order to have the domain, all that, I had to spell it without the E, and that's why it's unshakable.
Shockable.
Unshockable. Unshackable.
We have about 100 people watching. I was going to give a shout out to my buddy Casey for sharing on Twitter. He's got a very large X following. So thank you for all those people joining from there. Before we go to our next speaker, Henry, what do you got for Toby?
Man, I thought we were going to wait to the end, this guy being the headliner or something like that, because he put on a wonderful display of his ability and his heart, most importantly. Because, I was thinking about your logo, well, first off, the first thing that came to me is no pain, no gain, like you embody that right now. Like I would take a screenshot of you right now. And like, if I was to look up no pain, no gain in the dictionary, it'd be you. And also you might want to think about changing your unshakable investor to put with a sling on, because you got it with the hands up. Yeah. Like that. Yeah. That's right. But overall, man, the messages I got is a very powerful message. The way that you spoke about it and the way you were able to share that darkness, that dark period of, you kept over and over and over again wanting to make this relationship work with your father, and it just always seemed like out of your reach, and that never stopped you though. You didn't allow yourself to do anything like that. You said no pain, no gain. You didn't waste time, and you did hard things. And then it just came to that last minute about speaking your truth to him. You spoke one side of truth to him, and you wanted to have that moment with him. And, sometimes we run out of time. We don't have enough time. It's very powerful, just the way that you expressed that, the way that it really happened in your life and you brought us into it. It was a powerful story, man. It definitely dropped to thinking about, life and how we manage the time and doing hard things and how we can get the most out of our days and those things that we put down. Because lesson I got from your message too was that procrastination can turn into regret,
Yes.
And regret is something you got to live with, and that's a tough pill to swallow, so that great message, man. It was powerful. You got me in my feels, all up in my feelings. I was just kind of hyped up for you, bro, but you got me feeling all inside and stuff like that, man. So yeah, hands down, great job, man. Great work.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Real quick, everybody make sure that you it's the unshakableinvestor.com. Anthony, you spelled it right. Brenda
is the worst speller on the planet.
Yeah. The shabble. I don't know what the unshabbable investor is, but she's got the biggest heart. She's just the queen of all. And I would not be where I am without her. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor. It's a privilege. Anthony, I can't wait to see you in a week. Henry, I think you're coming with him, so we will have a blast. Oh, he's not. I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, but we're coming to Colorado to see Henry. So he's on tour he's on our tour stop. So it will all work out. Love you guys and appreciate everything that you do, man.
Hey, if I could ask one last question, this is typically what we do, and I skipped right over it, is you've been through a lot of processes. What did you think about the way that we did this 8 weeks and what you learned a little bit about yourself?
No, I tell you, Anthony, it was very new for me, but it was very enlightening, and it was such an easy process to learn. So and you're going to hear 4 other speakers that come in that say they've never done it at all and are going to do phenomenal. I think the way you teach it, the way you break it down and simplify it is so easy to resonate with those who want to learn and understand, and it's not challenging. I think that's what made this course and with you guys so amazing, was how simplified you had made it for anybody to be able to get comfortable. That's all speaking is being able to be comfortable telling your story and not having to worry about scripting it, and doing all this. You showed everybody how to just speak from the heart, and that became natural.
I love it. Thanks for the feedback. I appreciate you. Toby, I'm going to take you away. Everybody in the audience, wait, I got to get quicker at this. Where is it? Everybody, Toby Potter. That's so fun. All right, Henry, I'm going to bring you in the back. And again, go to The Unshakable Investor, the way that it's spelled down below. If you want to meet me and Toby and Brenda and the group in person, we'll be in Allen and a whole bunch of other stops. Anthony is the promo code to use. Henry, I'll see you in a minute. Deuces. All right, it is time for our next speaker. A woman that has become, I would consider, definitely a friend of mine. She has shared some stories, and now, especially with our Wednesday night speakers gym class, she has told some really funny things. I hope she can hear me right now. She's got the private chat. So let's see. Can you hold on? Let me make sure. No sound again. Shannon, just go in and out. Hold on. Go in and out, and you'll be good to go. There we go. It's the worst timing for her. It keeps being no sound. So if she doesn't have sound right when she comes back, Kelsey, be ready. Be ready. You might be the next one to go. I'll speak for a split second. There is, as I like Toby presenting it the way that he did, that to simplifies it. This is a very different structure. This is a different kind of class than just the typical speaking. It is where you start to learn about. You learn more stuff about yourself. When I use the word transformational, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that there is a time or two where people sometimes cry. And there's the power behind actually learning some of the deep and darker parts about you. And we take people through different things. If it's right for the right person, we do the Toyota 5 levels of why, if you've ever heard that, where it's like, why are you doing this? Why are you, whatever your career is, why are you an accountant? Why does it matter for you to be an accountant? Why does money matter for you? Why does family security matter to you? And you take it all of these different steps and all of these different levels to figure out why it's important to pass that message on. And ultimately, at the end of the day, social media can be used in so many negative and bad connotations, but we have the power to impact people with one reel, one video, and you can choose to be a creator instead of a consumer. And as a creator, you are putting something into the world that even if there is 37 views on your video, if it reaches the right one person at the right time, next thing you know, you've actually changed your life. You've actually had an impact on somebody, because whatever you've been through in your life, I guarantee you other people have been through the exact same thing. And one of the other things, Brenda's talking a lot in the chat, and she, with Becoming the Better You, I can't appreciate what she does more. And there's a whole full cycle thing that we do that she does with getting people like Toby through. And we have Manny, who's in the class now, and several other people, that when you find somebody that's able to provide stages like a Becoming the Better You, it has the ability to get you to places where, like I said, I'm not teaching people how to make money from stage. I'm teaching people how to give them the best version of themselves to put in front of any audience. But when you work with somebody like Brenda and Becoming the Better You and the group that she's got, and Ruben West, who also is a speaking coach for Toby, there's not too many people that are better in the business. I'm just going to tell you that flat out. I'm going to go ahead and give Shannon one more minute to hop up on stage, and then we will skip to Kelsey and go back to Shannon. Let's see if she's messaging me anywhere else. She's not. Let's see. All right. Come on, Shannon. Drum roll. Drum roll for Shannon. I can bring Henry back up here. Henry, just do drum roll for fun. There you go. Henry doing the drum roll. 20 seconds.
Shit. Fingers crossed.
Does that sound good on the mic? Does it sound funny? I don't know.
No, it probably does. Sounds horrible.
It sounds horrible. All right, whatever. All right, 15 seconds. Because I feel like whatever audio issue she's having, it works in the beginning. So as soon as she gets on, I want her to get on. So,
Right.
But don't worry, Kelsey. I won't interrupt you. I won't interrupt you mid-speech. So, oh, she's there. We're gonna see if she can hear me. We're gonna bring her all up. We're all here together. How's it going? You're on live, Shannon. I know you're getting can you hear me?
Yes.
There we go.
From bunker
Shannon
leverage.
is yes.
I am walking around everywhere at work trying to make this happen.
Well, you know what? I'm just gonna. You're good to go. Leave it in the format. You got it. You can hear me now, and therefore, I'm just gonna give you the floor. Good to go.
Sure. Here I am.
I'm not even gonna, because if you want to breathe, you do your thing. I'm not gonna remove you because I don't want to affect your audio. So we can hear you just fine. You sound lovely.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shannon Kenning, a very interesting background. She also works with Firmaglow, which is how I met her. Shout out to Tony Van Schoik for bringing her to the group, and all the different Tracy Struble, etc. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Shannon Kenning.
Hello, everyone. It's really nice to be here. I come from a small town in Northwest Indiana, and I hope that my message resonates with some of you who might be going through a hard time. I'm going to take you back to January of 2022. I got a phone call to do a wellness check on my aunt, who I just loved dearly, but life just kind of got in the way with my mom passing the previous December. And I didn't get to stop by. I didn't get to check on her. I didn't get to visit with her. And it hurt me, but not like the hurt that was about to come. So I stopped by her house to do the check, and every single curtain was drawn, all the lights were off, and I started shaking. I didn't know what to do. I thought, well, maybe she's in the garage, fiddling around with some of her hobbies and such. So I tried to look, and nothing. Every window, everything that you could imagine was closed. And I'm telling you, my heart was just beating so fast. I didn't know what to do. So I peeked through a little bit of etching on her front door, and I could see her poor little dog just laying there, completely lifeless. And that's when it hit me, and I started to cry. I could barely walk back to my car without just trembling everywhere. And I called my brother back and I said, there's no response. I can't get in. And so he told me to go ahead and call the police and have them come and see what they could do. And let me tell you, when you see on a TV show them busting in the door, it's nothing like that. When it's true and you're standing right there when they crush that door in and you find one of your most favorite people laying there lifeless, it's different. It's not a movie anymore. But the following weeks is what hurt the most. Her husband had preceded her in death. She didn't have any children. I didn't know what to do. What do you do when someone passes away and you know nothing about what they want after their time on earth is gone? So the coroner came, did his thing, and I stood there crying. I had no idea what to do. What do you do? So in the weeks that followed, I contacted every family member I could find, asked them for guidance, asked them if they knew. Did she have a lawyer? Did she have a will? Did she have any paperwork to plan what needed to be done? Nothing. Nothing came of it. Fortunately, I had a very sweet attorney who was dealing with my mom's death. And I talked to him and I said, I have a situation. What should I do? And I explained to him that none of the family would step up. She had no children and her husband was gone. Is there something I could do to make a memory of her and not let the state take everything she had and just be forgotten? And he looked me square in the eye and he said, Shannon, you have the biggest heart to take on something like this. And if you want, I'll be by your side and we'll get through this. Well, let me tell you, it took 2 years I had to find relatives that I had no idea existed. I found some in other countries. I found one deceased. And let me tell you, having to call their siblings to let them know that their own brother was gone started the pain all over again. But we got through this. We pushed forward. I cried every day, didn't think I could handle this, but we did. We did. We made it. So, what I hope that all of you think about tonight, tomorrow night, please, no matter what your age is, make a plan, have it in writing, have a friend, a sibling, a parent, a child. Doesn't matter the age, please have a plan, because you don't want anyone to go through what I went through. And if you think a will is enough, I'm here to tell you, and I will guide you. There is more to death than just a will or a trust fund. And if any of you need me for any kind of guidance or just to listen, I'm here for you. My name is Shannon Kenning, and I love you all for listening. Thank you.
See, I queued the applause up on time on that one. That's good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank goodness. All right. Phenomenal job, Shannon. I love that you took what we talked about in the finals and you added just that reminder at the end, and you did a phenomenal job and a beautiful job. And I want to note the fact that sometimes when stress is happening beforehand, it allows us to focus. Like you said, like, you're like, I'm trying to find a place to speak. Allows us to focus when it's time to it clear. All I can say is it clears the mind and it takes away from the stress of speaking that we all have, most people have, and it allows you to just focus on delivering the message. And I think you did a absolutely phenomenal job. Thank you, Shannon, for sharing that. I'm going to bring Henry up real quick. Henry, what do you got? Oh, you're muted. Hold on, I'll unmute you. I think I can unmute you. No, I can't. There you go.
They talk about being in a speaking course and learning to flip the switch. No sound. It's like if you're an actor in a studio, you're about to give the news, and the internet, the electricity goes out, and then it's like, but just wait right here, because you're going to start at moment's notice and flip that switch. And that's one of the things that everybody talks about when they're in front of us, right, Anthony? About coming to the course. I want to be able to flip the switch on camera when something happens. Can I be able just to speak and give my message? And shout out to you, Shannon, because that's exactly what you did. You're walking around in a warehouse. Like, I could not do that. If I'm not planted 15 minutes and doing prayers and meditations, I'm a wreck when I have to flip the switch on the camera. So shout out to you with that. And your message, I just had this thought that came through, this line that came through at the end, that death is not the end. Death is not the end, because there's always something to take care of after. We think somebody's going to die, and then we just go into this mourning. It's like, it's very hard to mourn when you have to take care of real estate and trust and wills and things they didn't have, or, and then deal with the legal system they go through, because everybody wants a piece of what somebody left behind. It's a very tumultuous time, and you guide people through that, and seeing that you guided yourself through that with 2 back-to-back passings, dealing with your mom and then dealing with your aunt, and then having to experience it, firsthand, not just getting the phone call to do something about it. That, shout out to you, Shannon, and just keep doing what you're doing, and keep, lifting people's spirits up when they're going through those tough times, because death is not the end, right?
No, it's not. And I hope someone really takes it to heart. I am here because I went through it all, and I'm happy to help any way I can.
I think I couldn't say better words about what you just did, and how you've shown up throughout the class as somebody that I think at the beginning was like, I don't know necessarily why I'm doing this. I just feel like it's the right thing to do. I think you have now a way to deliver anything that you talk about with so much grace and just a lot of strength. So real quick, I'm going to ask you the same question as Toby. What's something that you got out of the method, or what your takeaway is from going through the 8-week course?
Well, when I came into the course, I didn't even think that the subject I spoke on would even come to light. And the more you and I got to know each other and what was going on in my life, we shifted gears. And you showed me that there is a need for me to tell my story in public, not just at home or, in the lunchroom or stuff like that. And hopefully someone out there's listening and going, oh my gosh, I'm going through the same thing right now and I could really use her guidance. So you really brought out a story I didn't think I would ever tell in public.
Well, I'm glad you shared it. You did a fantastic job. Thank you again. Hold on, I got to cue it up. There's only so many buttons. One more time for Shannon. Give it up for Shannon.
Thank you.
Why was
Oh,
it
that
so
was
short?
that was like a protein.
There we go. All right. Take it easy, Shannon. Thank you again.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Great work, Shannon.
All right, Henry, you ready? I'm going to go ahead and real quick run the thingamajigger on the bottom, and that's, I just love the fact that you don't know why you're coming to do it. That is the difference between a regular speaking class and a transformational speaking class, and I just kind of love where she's come from and where Shannon has gone. So great job. And then I'm going to go ahead. Again, if you want to ever take a free speaking webinar, we actually have, I didn't even put this banner up there, but getbetteratspeaking.com, completely free. If you want to go, I think the next one is in February, I want to say it's early March. If you want to join that, go to getbetteratspeaking.com. You'll see the date that's available. It's a free 1-hour speaking webinar I give. Brenda, if you're still watching, I think I'm going to have you pop in on that one. And yeah, without further ado, I think it is go time for our next speaker. Are we ready, Henry?
Yeah, I'm definitely ready.
Love it. We got a lot of people on Twitter watching. I know it's not as easy to comment on Twitter, but if you Twitter X, whatever you want to call it, we have 100 and something there, 110 on Twitter. So if you are watching and you want to leave a comment and you like what you see, like it, share it, do all the things with it. I always love having a great audience. Again, thank you to Casey and Waz for sharing it. But now I get to introduce a friend of mine. Similar situation to Shannon. This is somebody that I go back further with. I am very good friends with her husband, and we started talking, and she started coming to the Wednesday night speakers gym, aka Toastmasters on steroids, and she just clearly had something inside of her, something more that she wanted to give. And in order for you to be able to give more of yourself, often you have to learn how to use your story and use your voice. So I'm very excited to see the growth in our next speaker in terms of day one to day now is always very impressive. And I know she's probably getting nervous because I'm talking her up and she's like, well, now I don't want to screw up because that's how she thinks, but I know she won't. I know she's going to bring it. So without further ado, our next speaker, Kelsey Heckman.
All right. Hi, Anthony.
Hi. How's it going? We're going to do a double applause. I love these new features. I've been using this StreamYard, by the way, for so long. I used it in the very beginning of COVID. And back then it had nothing. It was like bare bones. So I'm an OG when it comes to this. And it's fun to have new little fun features.
Yeah.
Not to distract you at all. Kelsey, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Anthony. All right. So tonight I wanted to actually talk about nursing because I myself am a nurse, and I actually am a nurse over in Minneapolis, Minnesota. With everything going on right now, it's kind of dismal and you just don't know what life's going to bring you. So I've actually been thinking about this for a long time, and I've been a nurse for 10 years, and it's been a passion of mine. And the start of this whole entire conversation was, why are you doing this to begin with? Why are you doing something with such servanthood to begin with? And part of it stems from, well, my grandma. My grandma was everything to me. She was my biggest number one fan. And when I was 8 years old, I ended up losing her in a hospital bed. And I just remember the memories from before all that happened. It was a big family gathering. We were playing games. We had those little mini pop cans in the fridge. And it was great to see all the staff around that supported all of us. And that was part of the trigger that made me want to go into nursing. And unfortunately, right now, I'm seeing nurses leaving at an astounding rate. Hundreds of thousands of nurses are leaving, and it's devastating. Like, why? Why are people leaving this profession, this trusted profession of caring? And what I've come to realize is that it's a heart condition. It's a human heart condition that we're being desensitized to each other's pain, that we aren't just not connecting and caring. And part of that example is even thinking back to my own grandma's case, is going to the funeral. I remember having a light vigil, and everyone's just holding their little lights, and they're passing it around. And that's the type of community that I came from, where everyone was connected, and it didn't matter how much wax you had or how big your flame was. You passed it from one person to the next. And that's what I wanted to give when I became a nurse, that I wanted to show people that you have someone here to hold your hand, no matter what type of pain that you're going through. I know what that's like because I've been there. But now I'm going to transition it off to a time when I experienced my first death as a nurse in the hospital. I was charged. I was helping another nurse, and the patient was a DNR, do not resuscitate code. So we knew that they were going to pass away. He was a Native American gentleman, and there was something really spiritual and peaceful about his passing, that watching him take his last breath and just knowing that, one moment he's here and one moment he's gone, that it was really beautiful in that moment. But life went on, and I had to do what no people should have to do. You have to get them ready for their loved ones to come and say goodbye. Ironically, he passed away with his eyes open, and I remember saying to the nurse, well, what do we do? So we put a little washcloth over top while we sat there and cleaned the rest of him and got him presentable for his family, which was in North Dakota, and they needed to come and drive, but they made it there during our shift. And doctors are usually supposed to be the ones that tell these patients, hey, your loved one, they passed away. I'm sorry. Unfortunately for me, the new resident was not feeling up to it. And so I had to make that phone call. And it was so hard to listen to a sister cry on the other end. And when she got there, she just gave me this big hug and just weeping and saying thank you for everything you've done for him, because he didn't have to do that alone. And I think about that type of conviction that it takes to stand in that difficult place and say your burden isn't worse or better than my burden, that we're in this together. You don't know the type of ripple effect that it's going to make in someone else's life, the kindness that you give them. It's like throwing a rock into the middle of a lake. The rock doesn't get to see the ripple effect that hits the shore. No, but it made that impact. And this light that we bring to others, we sometimes compare, your light's bigger than mine. Why? You've got a torch, you got a flamethrower. I got a little lighter. But at the end of the day, if you're focused on someone else's light, you're going to miss the beautiful fireworks that God has thrown out into the sky by that one simple act of kindness that you chose to give to someone else. No matter what you're going through, no matter how hard life is, at the end of the day, give it to God and give it to others. That's the only way we're going to get through this. Thank you.
Great job, Kelsey. I was actually just texting Dave, telling him how it just you were one of those people that came and like, this is a fun class. I feel like I should do more. I don't know why I should do more, but I should. And if you could truly understand how much more control you have over your breath, how much, so you do something that I talk about all the time, which is the idea of being a story shower instead of a storyteller. And you were putting us in the room. We always talk about, you can be a storyteller, but no, you need to be a story shower. And you put us in a lot of the moments that you had in the darkness, in the death, when the Native American gentleman died, and the way you talked about the fact you described his eyes being open. It's the difference between, like, even his eyes were open and we had to figure out what to do, and you moved on. You are using such high level, strong techniques. I don't have words to tell you how much I've enjoyed watching you grow as a speaker and tell those stories. So fantastic job. I'm going to let Henry give his feedback as well, and then I'm going to talk to you one more time. Henry, mute.
I can't.
Mute.
Amazing work. Sound, can you fix that for me, Sound? All right.
Hey, Henry, just so you know, you can leave it off mute because I'm in control of your screen. So just leave it off mute.
Well, thank you for taking me on that part of the emotional roller coaster of this darkness to light event. And, you know, like I've noticed that, you know, in our other speakers and talking about going from darkness to light, but you're the person that's with them in the darkness, carrying the light, you know, kind of, you know, like as they pass and everything like that. Like you got to be the light in the darkness, no matter what. You get to tell people the hardest things, the toughest conversations, those moments of what they've been, you know, putting off, what they've been fearing to hear. You know, we all know when someone's, you know, is passing in our lives by the time when we get a little bit older, no matter what age you are, and fearing that call. And you're that person that gets to be that. You know, you're the light in the darkest situations, and not just your own darkness every single day. You're the light in other people's darkness throughout the day. And, you know, that just really stood out to me. It's like how you see the humanity in the situation, not just the situation. And you just don't think about what you get to do in the situation. You are honed in on who you get to be. You get to be that light. You get to carry them through. And I can only imagine your natural conversationalist voice was just, it shines in here. And it's just, I can imagine, you know, talking to you, you could tell that you're very natural at just talking to people. And it's very easy to talk to you because you're just open and you got that love and light shining. So, you know, great work, you know, giving people the best of you, no matter what. I mean, that's a hard thing to do every single day, especially when you're in the darkness every day, like you are.
Thank you.
All right, Kelsey, same question. Obviously I don't think you had any idea that you wanted to even get on a stage or speak like this in the very beginning. Take us through what you have gone through and learned through this process.
Oh, it's been quite a journey. No, I absolutely had no idea that I would be here today. Absolutely not. I just thought, yeah, this would be kind of fun, and it would be great to learn how to public speak, and it would be better for my patients and how I communicate in everyday life. And it's really taught me to own my voice and to know not just what I'm saying and to like throw it out there, but to have like a deep and meaningful conversation and get the depth behind it to bring to other people. Because that, at the end of the day, that's what really matters to me, is that, you know, I'm caring for those other people when in a world that really just, oh man, it's heavy, so heavy, to the point of where I just want to bring that light and that happiness and that joy to them when it just doesn't feel that in that moment for them. So
that brings up a great point. So now in your work, do you notice a difference in just the way you present yourself in situations? Have you noticed that the way that you speak to just patients, coworkers, etc., is slightly changed or different or altered?
Absolutely. I think the content of what I have to say has changed dramatically because again, it's not just throwing fluff out in the world. It's, you know, getting to the bread and butter of what actually matters to them because they're having a hard time. They're going through a lot of crud. And I want to know that, you know, I'm going to be the type of the elevated person that I can be to bring them the best version of me to them so that they can get through that in the easiest way possible because it stinks, you know, what they're going through sucks. So I want to be the best person I can be. And your class has definitely helped me, not even through work, but all the relationships in my life. I feel like I communicate better. Thank you.
No, you're very welcome. And by the way, your little thing with the lighter was hilarious. You couldn't see me, but I was laughing my ass off in the background. Great job, Kelsey. Hold on, I gotta cue it up. Yep. Great job, Kelsey. Everybody, Kelsey Heckman. I love the little applause. I found out there's a drum roll, so for the next one, I'm going to test it out. We're going to see how that works out. Henry, are we ready for our final speaker of the evening?
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Kelsey, for getting me all up in my feelings. So thank you.
Each time we do this, there's one person that has that effect on me, and it so far was, and everybody's done a great job, obviously, but Kelsey's words were the ones that got me too. So I agree with you. Fist bump. Okay. All right, Henry, I'm going to pull you in the back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have our final speaker of the evening. This person actually has coached me as well. She's been there to help me through some of the professional stuff I've gone through. She's taken this class. She came, I remember the first time she showed up at Speaker's Gym on a Wednesday night, she already had a ton of polish. Like we're always like, well, Chris always delivers. She always has the ability to deliver these quotes that we give in a really polished and professional manner. And with Christine, it was, let's try to see if we can find her way to share her story. And through the journey with us, she has also been a speaker for Disrupt HR. She is an HR pro. She does fractional stuff with HR. She's a coach. She kind of does it all. And she is just now discovering how big of an inner badass she has. So I'm going to try the drum roll. What about the gong? Whatever. Christine Iannucci, ladies and gentlemen, to the stage. Christine, are you ready to rock and roll and bring up the caboose strong?
I am. Well, I'm ready as I'll ever be.
All right.
It's hard to bring in the caboose after all these other stories before me, though. How amazing.
They've done a great job. I'm very, 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 very impressed. All right, Christine, everybody in the comments, go ahead and say hello to Christine. And Christine, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. I will have to say before I even get started, some of that opening is so true. And I think one of the things that has been a growth journey, which probably would have been part of the conversation after I spoke, is diving deeper and not having as much of that polish that Anthony spoke about. So this talk is going to be a little bit more personal than I have ever shared publicly. And there is a little bit of uncomfortability with that, but that is part of what we learned in this course. So I thank you for that, Anthony. I also had a script written for this because in normal Chris fashion, I over prepare and have a script for everything, and I'm ditching that tonight. So let's go. All right. So tonight I'll be talking about decisions. So we've all heard the phrase, you're one decision away from a different life. And I know that to be true. But what I also know to be true is it's not the big decisions. I mean, sometimes it is, but it's actually most often all those little decisions, all those small ones that lead you down this path. And they continue to lead you down a path until one day you wake up and realize they've been shaping your life all along because you didn't pay attention to each little small decision along the way. So my personal story is this. I am the youngest of 5 kids, and I am the oops at the end, which gave me, and by the way, I'm a lot younger than my siblings. There's 18 years difference between the oldest and the youngest. And what that gave me was a front row seat into everyone else's decisions before me. And I really got to sit back and watch. And I got to watch a lot of choices that were made by those that were before me, older than me, my mom, my siblings. And I'll have to say, it really shaped me into the person that I am today. So let me share a little bit about that. Growing up, we've all kind of had situations in our families. We've all dealt with things. And my story is I grew up with a dad who drank a lot. He was angry when he drank. And, that unsettled feeling in our house, that was a normal feeling. In fact, when he pulled in the driveway, the funny story that we kind of still giggle about today, he's long gone now, since he's been gone about 19 years, and I moved out of the house before that. But when he would pull into the driveway, everyone scattered out of the kitchen. Everybody went to their room. Mom went to the bathroom. Dog followed her in the bathroom. It was just our normal at home. And I can remember one night very distinctly where, my mom and my dad were getting into a fight, which was more my dad just yelling and my mom not saying much, because she definitely was that type of person that just went very meek. And I got sick of it. I was probably somewhere in my teenage years, maybe 16. And I got right in his face, and he's a bold man. He was very rough around the edges. And I said, I will never marry a man like you. And I yelled it at him. I yelled it. And that was a decision that night to make on my part. But it was also something that I declared for myself. I said it loud, and it became a direction for my life. I swore to myself that I will never marry a man like my father. And I did not marry a man like my father. I will say that, it also was something that I held true to myself as a stake in the ground. I don't believe that people, in my father's case, he did end up passing away. And if he could look back at the end of his life, I think he would have gone back and made very different decisions. I know he loved all of us with all of his heart, and I think he would have been a different man. I'll tell you that people don't usually get to the end of their life and choose that. They didn't intentionally choose to become that person. They drifted there. It became sort of an autopilot for them, one small decision after the next. And one of the other lives that shaped me pretty profoundly in a way that I'll talk about tonight too is my brother's. Ironically, it is his birthday tomorrow, which has me thinking about him quite a lot. He would have been 55. And when I talk about Tommy, it is one that anyone whoever met him, they instantly loved him. He was very charismatic. He lit up the room. You could hear his laugh from across the room. And in fact, I believe that probably every person that's ever met him probably could still hear his laugh. What he loved the most, he loved, where I really, really always saw him light up, was being a dad. He was so proud. But what I also watched throughout his life was a series of decisions. And some of those decisions were small, and some of them were quite big, enormous actually. And I continued to see them pull him away from the life that I know in my heart that he would have wanted. My brother eventually died from an overdose. And this is why I don't like sharing the personal stories, but it's important. That final moment when he died changed me, and it changed everything. It wasn't just that final decision that took him there. It was every decision leading up to it. It was all of those together. And all of those mattered more than any of us really realized. And I will say that, watching the lives of both, these are two intimate stories, but there are plenty more. We've all seen it. This story really isn't to talk about a sadness, even though, I just shared a couple of, more sad stories. This story is more, what I'm sharing for is a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call for all of us because most of us aren't facing big decisions that look like these. I would say every single day, most of us are facing little decisions. And we're not really thinking about, are these decisions that we're making moving us in the direction that we want or away from what we want? I will say that we're probably much so on autopilot. I did get that front row seat to see how decisions shape people. And I also saw for myself how not making decisions and how playing it safe shaped me too. And I think that that's part of why for a long time I did play it safe. I played all the shoulds in my life. I made really, really responsible choices. I built a good life. I chose a good husband. We have a good home. And I guess, while I'm deeply grateful for all of that, I also ignored a voice deep down that always told me that I was meant for more, that there was something more underneath all of that I was searching for. Instead of listening to that, I feel like for most of my life, I chose comfort and, having something that felt familiar and safe, and always chose, what looks responsible. And I always, felt like it was important to be who everyone else needed me to be. And that's the identity I sort of took on. It was, who did work need me to be? Who did my family need me to be? Every role that I played, who do I need to be in that role? And slowly, I'll say that I started, and it happened over time. You don't recognize it while it's happening. I feel like I lost me and I lost my voice. And really what this conversation is while we don't have sometimes these big decisions, what really woke me up is watching how decisions that you make do shape who you become. And every decision, even the ones that you're not making, are still a decision. And so that's really the work I am personally in right now, and one that what I'd like to really put out there to this group is, what is one decision that you could make differently? And really something small. And my challenge is, think about this even as soon as tomorrow. What's one small decision that would change a direction of your life? And I'll leave that for you to decide. But mine will be choosing a life that leads me the direction I want to go.
Sorry, I jumped up a little too early. Ladies and gentlemen, Christine Iannucci, great job. Fantastic job. I think you need to stop using scripts, period. So, personal opinion. I want to say one quick thing before I bring Henry up, and then we'll wrap this show up. When you were telling your story, obviously emotional, understandably emotional, drew people into what you were saying, and then immediately you pulled somebody, and I saw a comment from Wendy saying, you got this. When you can get somebody in the audience to understand exactly what you're feeling, to be like, you've got this, but you had it the whole time, and immediately shifted to, how can I teach the people in the audience? Which was amazing. It was a great job. Fantastic job. I impressed to the next level, and I'm so glad you dropped the script. So glad. I'm going to bring Henry up real quick. Henry, what do you think?
Well, it was an amazing talk. I had a little bit of an internet issue, so I missed the whole emotional part. I left like my laptop all of a sudden bloop, restarted, and I left off. I'm like, Dad came home. Everybody scattered, and then I come back 2 minutes later, and she's crying. I'm like, what did I miss? You know, but nonetheless, even missing the emotional part, you really landed the plane. You really landed the part about decisions and how they shape our lives. Like that was a very strong message. I wrote down a lot of notes just even in the last few minutes, and that curiosity that we see as leaders, when we see other people making decisions and we really, look at it from our perspective, we wonder why people make the decisions that they make. Why do people hurt the ones that they love? It's like one of life's greatest mysteries. We all could probably sit around and think about one person that we love that the relationship's just not right and it never was right. And we wonder why and why can't it be? These type of things happen, and it's just, hurt people. And the way that we can really stand for people sometimes is like you do. It's like disrupt, the stories in their heads and whatever they're going through, and just be there for them and ask them the right questions that help them move forward so that they can see the questions that are helping them move forward. So like, yeah, that was super powerful. I love the decision talk, and yeah, I look forward to seeing more of you on the internet.
Great job. Well said, Henry. And I was watching when you came back and forth, and I was like, oh, Henry's going to wonder what the hell just happened. Chris, go ahead and, I mean, again, you already were strong. You're already a strong speaker. When you started, you already knew that you were, looking to command stages and do different stuff like that. What kind of takeaways did you have from this process of going through the 8 weeks?
I'll say I think the biggest part of it for me was letting the guard down, which obviously still is not easy for me, and talking about something personal. And I think that that's been a growth area for me to actually allow it. Because it's not something that I typically feel comfortable speaking about. So I think that that's been a transformation in and of itself. I think it's, while I came into it wanting to find my voice, I think I'm coming out of it really learning how to share my voice.
All said. You had a couple moments when you were speaking like that where I was like, that was a really great way. You had a couple things, and I'm going to go back actually through yours to look at some of the little things, the pinpoints that I saw in there that were really, really good. Well, Chris, we have to call you Christine. I call you Chris. You want me to call you Chris? And then because of Toby calling her Christina, we're trying to work on the Christine thing. So that's why we're saying that. I gotta get it up. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Christine Iannucci. I love the new applause thing. All right, so I have some people waiting on me for dinner. So we are going to wrap up this evening. I'm going to say we're going to have Henry give his final words, but I want to remind people, if you want to take the 8-week course, let us know. You can find us in any of the different ways. You can find me on Instagram. You can reach out. But if you want to start with if you want to start with anything, just a free speaking class, or even join us on our Wednesday night group for free, I'll let you come. Just go ahead and shoot me a message on Instagram at Anthony Michael Russo. If you just want to join, because this is the last week that I'll be doing that at, I think it's $30, and then it's going to be $80 just because it's becoming a bigger group. So if you want to do that, go to doubledownspeaking.com. If you want to check out this all as one speaking boot camp shortened version, go to speakingbootcamp.com. Again, that's $47 this week. Next week, it'll go back to the $100 price. And ultimately, if you want a completely free speaking webinar and just learning more about how to get better at speaking and communication, go to getbetteratspeaking.com. I still don't know how I got that website. I got very, very lucky. Getbetteratspeaking.com. Henry Garcia, final words, my friend?
Yeah, final words is just saying, thank you to the speakers. They really did a phenomenal job, no matter what shifts and changes that were happening to, Shannon, for instance. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to Kelsey's audience from X from joining us. You guys come and always back us on these type of events. We just love to have you guys here. And thank you for everybody dropping comments in the chat. And I just say, like, the one thing I'm going to wrap this up, encapsulate it for me, is that I've been hit with the Maya Angelou effect by our speakers today. I may forget some things that they said. I may forget some things that they did, but I'm never going to forget how they made me feel. I'm never going to forget how Toby made me feel going through those hard decisions and doing hard things. I'm never going to forget Shannon had to face, multiple deaths and had to be the leader throughout that whole entire process. I'm not going to forget that Kelsey's the light and darkness every single day. And I'm not going to forget the feeling that Christine left me with, this asking the right questions. It was kind of a great bookend, to where Toby started. So like the darkness and light event was a great experience. Thank you to the speakers, audience, and of course my man Anthony Russo, the guy I always like to give a little bit of love to. Is I just like to thank you, Anthony, is leading this and putting on this event and really building this whole movement about your voice is your superpower. Appreciate you, brother, and I can't wait until we have the event for Class 6.
I love it. And I'll end it with, if anybody wants to meet me in person and meet Toby at Toby's event, Brenda, all that, go to the Unshakable Investor, spelled exactly the way it is on the bottom of the screen. Use Anthony as a promo code. I think it's free. I don't know what that promo code, otherwise it is, I think, $197. Henry, I always appreciate you as my partner through this fun and engaging journey where we get to see this personal growth. This is it's a side project that takes up all my time, and it also takes up all my passion at the same time, and I love it for it. Everybody that's in the back room, I see you, Kelsey, I see you, Christine, I see you, Shannon. I'm going to go ahead and just bring everybody up, and we're going to wave, and we are going to wrap up this evening. Bye, everybody. Have a great night. Surprise.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.